South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace just had yet another meltdown following an altercation at the Charleston airport late last week. So, for anyone looking for a bit of schadenfreude, or perhaps who doesn't get enough nincompoopery watching reality television, take heed. Have we got a story for you? Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. Representative Nancy Mace. Her name has a way of popping up in political conversations at rather bizarre times, both for good and ill. For example, Mace is one of the few Republicans to support same-sex marriage rights, though she also hotly opposes recognizing the gender identity of transgender people, often using anti-trans slurs in her remarks on the matter. She repeatedly mispronounced Kamala Harris's name, which she implied was a deliberate sign of disrespect. She condemned Donald Trump following the January 6th insurrection, only to endorse him again in 2024. And she supports release of the Epstein files, even breaking down when discussing them. If all of this makes her sound inconsistent at best and wacky at worst, well, stick around. Late last week, Congresswoman Mace had a little altercation at the Charleston airport, and after news of the encounter leaked, she chose to give a press conference bringing even more attention to the situation. Here's a rundown.
We're back with the first alert in the Low Country. South Carolina Representative and candidate for governor Nancy Mace is now addressing concerns about a recent encounter that she had at the Charleston airport.
Mace is accused of cursing at TSA agents. Now, this is brand new video from overnight showing Mace getting there to the Charleston International Airport. And according to a police report, officers were told she would arrive in a white car, but instead she showed up late and in a different colored car. The report says Mace was very irritated and called the TSA agents, quote, incompetent. A spokesperson for her campaign says Mace was complaining because safety concerns and recent death threats have come her way. In a new statement released this morning, Mace is calling for accountability at the airport.
They have repeatedly compromised my safety by releasing the video of the vehicle that I was in, doxes that vehicle. They also released the location of where I get dropped off. So the irony here that this is an airport trying to keep me safe and secure when they are actually compromising my safety and security is egregious.
Sounds kind of nuts, right? It gets nuttier, so don't go away. Now, in fairness to Congresswoman Mace, who at least sounds sane some of the time, which is more than we can say for most Republicans at this point, in fairness to Nancy Mace, the airport and TSA are enough to make anybody crazy. And all that says nothing of the ever more sadistic rules commercial airlines inflict on their customers. No overhead bin space, no seat selection, and how very dare you ask for a glass of water. Sorry. As a very tall person myself, I'm not a huge fan of airlines in general, which constantly try to charge thousands of dollars for reasonable legroom. You can ask my family. Every time I fly, I show up with bruises on my legs from the lack of legroom. But I digress. Nancy Mace had a nasty airport experience and attacked the TSA and airport personnel for the dust-up. Then she managed to further complicate the situation. When asked about the incident, Mace had an eyebrow-raising response.
Congresswoman, before you go, there are reports that you were involved in a heated confrontation with airport police and TSA agents at the Charleston International Airport Thursday. You posted this on X. TSA wouldn't let me through. So what happened?
Well, one of the rumors last week was that I was blocked by TSA, which was not, in fact, true. Yes, I did have an interaction on Thursday. I want to be very clear here. We saw last year 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. Just a few weeks ago, we all witnessed as Charlie Kirk was assassinated right before our eyes in public. We've seen that Steve Scalise years ago was shot, 4 or 5 times. And in the political environment we have today, there's no room for error when it comes to security. I have at this particular airport and no other. This is the only airport where I have any issues, but my children have had issues here, my employees, but we have had over 24 security breaches at this particular airport just 11 months into this year today. I've been in 4 airports in the last 5 days without incident. So yes, I did confront those who did not show up to do the job. My safety was put at risk. I have had incidences at airports. I had an incident in Chicago earlier this year where a man followed me through the airport, and the Chicago airport security was very swift. to ensure that I was safe and get that individual out of there. I had other incidences where someone tried to physically have an altercation with me at one of the D.C. airports. I'm grateful to the Capitol Police for stepping in, but this is a serious issue, and mediocrity when it comes to airport security and security breaches will not be tolerated when I'm governor and not when I'm in Congress for nobody.
But so why wouldn't they let you through? That's the part that I'm not quite understanding here. What was their reasoning?
They did let me through. I was let through.
Okay,
yeah, I was let through.
Right.
But there's a federal process under TSA rules that require federal officials to have law enforcement personally escort us through the crew member line. So there's a process. I waited patiently. I asked for assistance from TSA. They were very helpful. And so we did it eventually. But you know, what the Charleston Airport did was also release details about the vehicle that I was dropped off at, putting my safety at risk on Thursday. They released details on where I get dropped off at the airport by releasing video. It's all scary for an individual. I have more than 1,300 death threats a year. And so I take my security very, very seriously. I don't want to be the next person that gets shot and killed.
And and to be clear, other elected officials have used that crew member line, and
all
so
the time.
So this is why. So maybe you're feeling you were maybe targeted by these agents, and it was unfair.
Oh, I absolutely have been targeted at this airport. But thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Okay, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you for explaining that. We really appreciate it. It's great to see you as always. Thank you for being here.
So now let's get this straight. Because of political violence, which Mace only seems to really condemn when it's inflicted on Republicans, because of that violence, Mace can't feel safe in an airport when surrounded by police and the TSA? Was it that you didn't feel safe or that they didn't kiss your behind enough, Congresswoman? Listening to her, I'm reminded a bit of Representative Cynthia McKinney, a Democrat who once punched a member of the Capitol Police because he asked her to go through a metal detector at the Capitol. In a similar way, I'm not sure if Representative Mace was just having a bad day or just wanted special treatment. Either way, TSA agents, like other federal workers, aren't actually getting paid right now, so Nancy, or anyone else about to fly, maybe cut them some slack. Or better yet, partner with Democrats to work on extending healthcare subsidies and passing a new budget that will get airport personnel paid. You do your job. Let them do theirs. And make sure they're compensated. Remember, lady, these are your voters. For Occupy Democrats, I'm David Reddish.